All right, folks, happy Friday morning to you. It is September the 16th. I'm Alex with another SFOI 1000 update. I have a special guest for us today. But before we get to him, I want to go over the upcoming games for this weekend. We have 18 games covered this weekend. I'm just going to go through the list real quick. Have Doug Rentz will be down at the Georgia Tech game, kickoff at 3:30. If you live around the Atlanta area, if you would be interested in getting involved, get with Doug, get with me, and I can hook you up with Doug. He's trying to build a team. This is his first year of doing this, so he would love to have some new team members, I'm sure. So just get with him or get with me if you need to get in touch with him to find out how to get involved with that. We have Francisco Nieves will be at University of Texas, kickoff at 7 p.m. Then our leader, Bill Adams, he will be at the Knoxville, Tennessee game for the University of Tennessee. Kickoffs at 7. The dynamic duo David Day and Ben Cohen will be at the Auburn game, kickoff at 2:30. Jerry Collins will be at Bakersfield, kickoff 4 p.m. Joshua Tubbs at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, kickoff 2:30. Larry Sullivan will be down there at the University of Alabama game at 3 p.m. Roll Tide, Larry, to you. Jacob Nelson will be at Illinois State University, 6:30 p.m. kickoff. Ryan Clark will be at the University of Oregon, 12:30 p.m. kickoff. And all these times are local, of course. Tommy Waltz will be at North Carolina State, 7 p.m. kickoff. Mike Coughlin will be at Ohio State, 7 p.m. kickoff. Devon Webb will be at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, kickoff at 2:30. Rod Grubb will be at Boise State, kickoff 2 p.m. Samuel Red Harris will be at Middle Tennessee State University, kickoff 6 p.m. Our friend Matthew Redondo will be out in Arizona at Tempe at the Arizona State game, kickoff at 8 p.m. Our special guest today, actually, Heath, will be at Packers game, kickoff at 7:20. And then Joe Henson will be at the Cowboys game, kickoff 3:25 on Sunday. And Sunday as well will be David Robert at the Saints game, kickoff at 12 p.m. So there's a list of games this weekend. We had 17 last weekend, 18 this weekend. So there's plenty of opportunity to get out and evangelize and get people going. And been reading through some reports. I know we've all probably had a game or two under our belts by now. Most of us have anyway, home games. And I've been going through and reading some of your reports, watching videos, and it's encouraging to see all the good news coming through. I know there's some folks that haven't posted any reports yet. I won't call any names, David Day, but I will look forward to seeing those in there. So please get those in so we can all get those uploaded to the website and everyone can see what's going on and be encouraged and draw from your experience as well. Plus, we love to hear about these experiences. So make sure you get your game reports in to Miss Olivia. If you have trouble doing that, just let me know and we'll get it all figured out and worked out for you. Also, I want to encourage you to do a live Twitter video from your game at some point, just a short, 5-minute video or something. Instructions are in the email I send out, and I've noticed that they kind of work different on different types of phones, so you may have to just kind of play around, experiment, and figure out how to make that work on your phone. I finally figured it out. If I can figure it out, I promise you can figure it out as well. So just try to do that for Bill, take some pictures, and so we all know what's going on and everybody can be encouraged from your efforts. So now, without further ado, I'm going to bring our friend Heath Pucel on. He's a good friend of mine. Most of you probably know him. He has many hats he wears for SFOI. Of course, he and Dan go out to the Packers games, which we're going to discuss today, and preach there. But he also is the leader of Keep Your Finger in the Text, which is a sermon preparation workshop that I've been involved with a few of those, and they're super. I would highly recommend those. And he also does a Monday night, I guess you called it a class called Taking Reps, which is basically taking the principles you learn and keep your finger in the text and applying it as a group. So it's good stuff. So we'll let him tell us more about that in a moment. But I'm going to go ahead and bring him on if I can figure out how to work this. So bear with me for a second. I'll unmute him here, and he'll be on here. There you are. Are you with us?
I'm with you. How you doing, Alex?
All right, good, Heath. Glad to have you. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy to be here with me, and discuss football of all things, right?
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about, maybe some people don't know. I don't know a whole lot about your past history, I guess. Tell us about how long you've been preaching at Packers games and how you got started doing that.
Yeah, preaching at the Packers games, it's probably been since about, almost 10 years now, give or take. And, it's interesting because the Packers have always been, of course, in Green Bay, um, where I live. And, it just never kind of dawned on me per se when I started getting out and evangelizing. The thought of, preaching at an NFL game was kind of intimidating. And we had some brothers out there who were doing it. And I think it was we came back from the Indianapolis Super Bowl. And my ministry partner said, well, let's go out and preach at the Packer games. I mean, they're local. And, that year I had some logistical items where it just didn't work. But the year after that, there was kind of like a mantle transition from the guys that were out there who are pretty much from out of town, could no longer do that. So kind of picked up the mantle and have been preaching faithfully at most of the Packer games at home ever since.
Cool. Awesome. Good deal. So what is a typical, I know I've kind of did a little training video kind of showing how I set up where we go at UGA. I know every stadium is different. What's kind of a typical day look like for you out there?
Typical day for us, we get out there about 3 hours ahead of time. We get to park at a local church, which is about a 15-20 minute walk, which is great. The walk is a little bit longer of a walk, but free parking, so why not, right? So we walk past the stadium. We're a little bit, I guess you could say, west of the stadium. There's an area that is the convention center. It's where the practice field is. And there's this city block that's right next to Lambeau Field. And we don't set up on Lambeau Field's property, although the sidewalks we could. We have a couple of other teams that set up on the north side of the stadium, right across from a very busy intersection. But they don't necessarily use amplification there. We have police directing traffic, things like that. But where we're set up is on this block, and all of the buses that come in from like the party buses and everything like that drop off on the south side of this block. So we get about a third, I guess you could say, of the stadium. Maybe it's being a little bit too liberal, but we get about a third of the stadium over the course of the 3 hours that come walking up this block. So it's a massive flood. The streets closed off, the sidewalks closed off. So it's a massive flood. It's what's called Scalpers Row. So we have musicians there. We have an accordion player there, a trombone player who's a believer. We've been talking with him for years. We have the guys with the T-shirts, the not so friendly T-shirts that they're selling their gear and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting. But the scalpers come by, and those that are unbelievers, they just kind of look at us, shake their head, even though we acknowledge them. Those that are believers, they come by, they give us thumbs up, things like that. It's been a pretty eventful time, and people just come flooding, up those areas. Something new the past couple of years. The Packers have now, an hour before game time, because of all the security and everything like that, they shoot off the fireworks to let people know that, if you want to get to your seat before kickoff, get into the stadium by that time. So the crowds kind of start to wane. They start to die down within that last hour. But we still have quite a few stragglers that come in right near the kickoff time. And there's people sitting around in the plaza that get to hear. And hopefully we get into conversations, but we don't get into a whole lot of conversations. But again, with the plaza's redesign per se, they built these concrete planter boxes, which is great because they're about 2.5, 3 feet high. So that becomes our natural podium.
All right. That's awesome. That's cool. That's a good deal. Yeah, it's a little different from our setup down there, which I won't belabor people with my story again today. Yeah, that's interesting to know. Have you ever preached like stayed till after the game and preached at any of those games? Or
Have not.
I was asked the other day about that, and I have not done that either. And I just wondered if that was fruitful. I'm sure the fans will flood out of there, but I always go before, and I think Bill would rather us go before, probably. And that's probably the best time to go is 3 hours prior to.
Yeah.
kind of the general operating procedure here we do.
Right.
So SFOI. So I remember when I actually met Bill down at UGA for the first time about 14 years ago, I guess. So how did you meet him and get involved with sports fan outreach?
Yeah. So in 2008, I had a work assignment in Roswell, Georgia. And I was reaching out at the time to people to see who was going to be in the area. I was going to be there for like a month to 5 weeks, and wanted to get an opportunity on the weekends to get out and either preach or evangelize in the Atlanta area. And I met up with another brother at the time, and it was one weekend. He said, "We're going to go down to Atlanta, and I want you to meet a friend of mine who happens to preach at a lot of different events." And first time I met Bill was at the Sweet Auburn Festival, which is the largest, I guess you could say, African American or Black festival in all of Atlanta. It's like several blocks. And there's 3 of us there at a church. And Bill was preaching. So at the time, I was getting ready to go to the Living Waters Ambassadors Academy like a month later. So he just looked at me while I was passing out tracts and trying to get into one-on-one conversations. And he looks at me, he goes, "You want to preach?" And I said, "No, I'm going to the Ambassadors Academy to learn how to preach." He looks at me, he goes, "There's no better time than now."
Typical Bill.
Yeah. And I turned around and I said, nah, that's okay. He's like, "All right, then," goes back to preaching. But, it was a great conversation. I give him a hard time all the time for that, because it was just kind of the way of, all right, then, he went right back to preaching. But, after that, he encouraged me to go to the Super Bowl outreach, and we met at like the Living Waters Deeper Conference. And the year that I didn't go, of course, was when the Packers went to the Super Bowl in Dallas, and they had some really interesting weather. But since then, I've been at almost all of the Super Bowls, minus New York, whether it was a participant or a team leader, and just developed that relationship continuously throughout the years.
Yeah, cool. Good deal. Yeah, it's I love Bill. He's been a great influence in my life, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done for me. And we wouldn't even know each other without Bill, I'm sure, but
Right.
more than likely anyway. But I remember one time Bill had called me and asked me to do something. I can't remember what the event was, and I couldn't do it, but I felt bad because I couldn't do it. So I was trying to articulate to him why I couldn't do it, and it's kind of like he did you. It's kind of like, "Okay, see you later, bye." I think the first thing he said, "So that's a no then?" Okay. but yeah, we like to pick on Bill. He's a great guy. Love him to death. He's a good one. He keeps us all in line.
Absolutely.
But I'll just take a little time and talk a little bit. I know you've been a Super Bowl team leader. We've done that together before, which was a good time. And can you tell me why you think it's important to be at all home games that you can be? I know we all have things come up, miss some, but why is it important to be there, you think?
I think the biggest thing is constancy. Constantly being there, constantly having people see you, constantly being a presence there. Just a couple of, I guess you could say, stories or feedback per se that you know that you're at least making an impact, whether or not they, of course, agree with the message that you're preaching. Is constant comments recently, even with season ticket holders who bring different people to different games. You constantly hear, "They're here every single game."
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a badge of honor. A couple of years ago, I can't remember if this guy is a believer or not, but he walked past, and I was preaching, and I heard him out of the corner of my ear as he's walking past. He's like, "I know it's a Sunday when these guys are preaching about Jesus."
Huh.
Or a Packer game, because these guys are preaching about Jesus.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I kind of took that as, what would happen, if we weren't there?
Yeah.
And that's going to come up with us being over in London. We're probably not going to be there unless some of our other team members come down to that area. But it's just one of those things of, is something going to be missing?
Yeah.
When they walk past, are they not going to see us? And even sometimes with the new redesign after COVID of this plaza at the convention center, I was joking with a couple of guys because they walked up and a couple of them said, "Usually these guys are out in the grassy, median on the stool. And they turned around and they said, looks like they've graduated a little bit. And I turned around and I said, no, we've evolved. And he immediately stopped and was like, that's a good one. So it's one of those things of to constantly see you there, that they know what you're about, to see the encouragement from fans who are believers quite often. And there was one gentleman from New York who came to the home games, and the first year we met him, he said, thank you for being out here. And he came and he hung out with us for a little bit. And the next year he kind of reached out to me and said, are you going to be out here? And we're like, yes. And he came back and he said, you know what? He said, I was praying that I would see you guys again this year. So it's really it's a testimony to the faithfulness of being out there, and the fans see you and they get to interact with you, and they kind of expect it. If you're not there, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen when we're not there.
Yeah. We had an instance a few years ago, reminded me, it was raining. Of course, every year at UGA, we get like one rain game, it seems like. It was raining hard this day, and we were out there. And of course, we have God invented trash bags to protect amps, and all that stuff.
Right.
So we had all our stuff covered up, and I was across the bridge from, I think Rich might have been preaching, and a guy and his girlfriend walked by. Says, yep, fair weather preachers are not out here today. I said, excuse me, yeah, we are. We're right there. He's like, oh. so yes, that made me more confident that I need to be out there, even if it rains or snows. I know you get more snow than rain probably during the winter, but
right.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said. It's a real thing, and that's one thing I think Bill had stressed to me early on is when I started doing updates and stuff for the UGA games, is consistency is important, and I've seen how that is very true. That's exactly right, that it is important, because like you say, even if they disagree, they see you there. We go downtown too, and there's people come up. I think Bobby had a person come up to him a few years ago and stated something like, I've been coming here for 4 years and I've about decided that you guys are right.
Right.
So it's not a instant gratification, if you will, instant result kind of ministry, I don't think, a lot of times.
Well, and you see that constancy even outside of the Packer games. As you were sharing that, with people saying they've come for 4 years, we were down in Appleton on a Saturday night, and we were preaching, and this couple came past, and they saw us out there again, and they turned around and they said, this was before the season. They turned around and they said, well, we look forward to seeing you at Lambeau. So, again, it's that presence of knowing you're out there, and that, them being there and seeing us in a different place. They know that we're more than likely going to be there at the game.
Yes, I guess that's great to be consistent. If I got any more questions for you, got anything else you'd like to share about? I guess you could share and do a shameless plug for all the things you do here.
Well, amongst the SFOI 1000, I'm leading the Packer game outreach, of course, at times being a Super Bowl team leader, track 2 facilitator for Keep Your Finger in the Text for the George Whitfield program. And then, as you mentioned in the introduction, leading the Keep Your Finger in the Text workshops, kind of from an evangelist and open air preacher to evangelist open air preacher, helping people dig into the text to see how we can pull the meaning out of the text to be able to faithfully preach biblical expository sermons in the open air. And then, of course, taking reps as an extension of that to be able to continue to put this into use and hone those skills. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. And I'll help you out with that too. I've been in, I think, 3 workshops now, and it's been a tremendous help to me. It's you have to get yourself, balance your time and stuff. I know we're all busy, but if you want some training and learn how to put together a sermon and preach in the street, this is a great place to come. You get to hear wisdom from Heath, but also from other street preachers as well, and you get so many different perspectives on a text and get to work through it and see what it's really saying. And oftentimes it's like, oh my, I've been taking that out of context. But it's helped me stay on track on the street and not just get out there and ramble, which I tend to do sometimes anyway.
Right.
But it's very helpful. So I'm very grateful for that. So it's a great thing to do there. And I appreciate you coming on. I got to get back to my day job, so to speak, and show back up at the office. But thanks for your time, Heath. God bless
Yeah.
you. I look forward to seeing you soon, and look forward to seeing your reports. I know you've been turning yours in, unlike David Day. See, I called his name again.
Not mentioning any names.
No name, David Day. He's a good sport. I love David. He's good. All right, brother. Well, I'll let you get off here, and I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Alex.
All right, God bless. All right, folks, one more time before I get off here, here's the list of games this weekend. Let you take a look and see if there's any in your area. If you'd like to get out with these guys, if you kind of want to get started and don't know how to or where to, just you can look on this list here, find you a stadium that's close to your area. If no one is at the stadium close to you, then there's your invitation to get out there and get this started. And like I said, we don't just throw you to the wolves, so to speak. Bill has put together a process and resources to help us get started. If you've never preached in the open air and you desire to, just give me a call, give Bill a call, and we can get you in a class with Heath, and you can get some training on how to put together a sermon outline and keep your finger in the text when you're preaching. So we do go out and rightly divide God's word. So I encourage you to do that. We'll get you some gospel tracts if you need those, and just help you out any way we can. The goal of SFOI 1000, I'll mention again, is to have the gospel preached at every Division I college and NFL home football game. So that's a lot. We have, I think, 31, 32 stadiums covered this season, which is great. We certainly want more. So if you desire to get involved, it's not too late. Season's brand new still. We're just, I think, 2 weeks in to the official season, and so there's plenty of time, plenty of football left to preach at. So we got all through the rest of this year and in the playoffs, and of course Super Bowl outreach. I encourage you to go to that as well. It's in Arizona this year, my old stomping ground. I used to live there. A great place. The weather will be awesome in February. Not awesome right now, maybe per se. It's a little warm, but in February it'll be great. So I encourage you to get out there. It's a 4-day event. You'll get training, you'll get teaching, fellowship. They'll even feed you, believe it or not, and you'll get practical application. You'll be out on the streets about 8 hours preaching with a team and passing out tracts and having conversations. It's a great 4 days. It's packed full of stuff. Not a lot of sitting around time, but it's good. It's all ministry focused. And you'll be tired when you get home, but you'll be glad you went, and you'll get a lot out of it. You'll meet some great brothers, just like that's where I first met Heath, is at a Super Bowl, and we've become good friends. At least he's my good friend. I hope he feels the same about me. But and other brothers too that I would never have met outside of Sports Fan Outreach. So I encourage you to get involved, and that way you can be in this community of believers, of other brothers who are like-minded, who share the same experience. I was thinking the other day that, when I was in the Army for almost 10 years, and since I got out of the Army, there's nothing being like it as far as the camaraderie. It's like you go through all this stuff together, and you become a real tight-knit family, so to speak. And I've never had anything come even close to that, but with being involved with this SFOI and meeting other evangelists and knowing that we go through the same experiences and everything, it's the closest thing I've found to that same type of camaraderie. Just as good. It's great. It's love seeing these brothers when I get together with them at different events. I love seeing them online during classes and stuff. So I encourage you to get involved. It'll be encouraging to you, helpful, and we encourage each other, uplift each other, pray for each other, and it's just great to have this network of other men that go out and preach the gospel on the streets to draw from, learn from, and encourage and be encouraged by and fellowship with. So I'm going to sign off here. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, a great Lord's Day, and get out to a game somewhere and preach the gospel. There's no better place to do it. If you want a bunch of people, get out to one of these football games and preach the gospel until all here. God bless.